Welcome to the Scott Townsend Show, brought to you by Dietzo Man Productions.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for joining the Scott Townsend Show. And today I have with me a good friend, longtime friend, Len Wade. And he has Ike's Chili in, it's on Route 66 in Tulsa. Len, how's it going?
Great. How are you today?
Doing good.
Good.
Had a good time at Ike's Chili yesterday. Celeste and I went to check it out, and it was really good and filling. We could hardly eat dinner last night.
Yeah, our chili is pretty filling.
So, you and I go way back to the Enterprise rent-a-car days. Gosh, how long ago was that? It was over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's probably been 22 years ago.
Yeah. So, I ran into you on, we've been friends on Facebook for quite a while. And then I saw your Ike's Chili. So you're the managing partner with the Ike's Chili?
That's correct. Managing partner.
So how did you get involved with this historic, kind of like a landmark, this Ike's Chili there on Route 66? How'd you get involved with that?
Well, my wife's mom married one of the, I guess he was the third generation of Ike's Chili family members. And so it was by marrying into the family, basically. And it just kind of went from there. My brother-in-law was involved with the restaurant, and I was doing finance at the time. And he knew I was getting tired of what I was doing. And he said, "How would you like to run the restaurant?" And I was kind of like, well, I've never worked in a restaurant. He's like, "It's all about customer service. You're good at that." It's like, everybody will love you, and that was in, gosh, when was that? 2006. So that's been, in September, it'll be 15 years.
Wow.
Involved full time. Of course, I was kind of behind the scenes for quite a few years before that. I've been involved full time now for almost 15 years.
And so the other reason why I had you on the show, Len, is I saw on Facebook, I guess it was a year or two ago. I don't even know when, 2 years maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't know anything about this until you posted on Facebook, and you were very candid and transparent that you were in search of your biological mother, father, and that turned. I guess most people, that's a journey that they take, I don't know, quietly, but you were very open and honest about it, and even Channel 8 picked up on it and did a show or two about your journey to your biological parents. What was that like? How did you even get? So I didn't know you were adopted. So there you go. So you were adopted.
Yeah.
How old were you when you found out that you had been adopted?
Man, as far back as I can remember, I've always known, I don't know whether that was 4 years old, 5 years old, but
something really young.
Really young. I mean, my mom and dad, just told me point blank, nothing to hide. Thought I was old enough to understand it. And so they explained it to me. And, being a kid, I think I probably just said, okay, and just went on from there. And it didn't really mean anything. I mean, my mom and dad were my mom and dad. That's who I'd been with my whole life. And I literally had been. They adopted me, took me home when I was a week old.
Oh, man.
So it wasn't like I had been living with somebody else for a year or two and then changed households. I mean, they literally took me home from the hospital when I was a week old. And at some point, I don't know, probably some point in high school, I started kind of wondering about some things, just different things. And of course,
like what was one of the,
you wonder, it's kind of like, is that person my brother? You know, is this person my sister? Could that person be my mom or my dad? You know, you're walking down the street and you just, you know, you don't know who you're walking past. That, that, you know, they say that it's 6 degrees separation, you know, and of course it took quite, and that started in high school, just kind of wondering stuff, but I never really pushed to make it happen, just curiosities, you know. And, but I was born here in Tulsa, grew up here until 6th grade, and in 6th grade we moved out to Keystone Lake, and I went to Cleveland Public Schools. Graduated high school there and lived there for quite a few years, and then moved back to Tulsa. And over the years, I got more and more curious about it, but at the same time, I didn't want to hurt my parents' feelings by searching. I felt like that would really, that would hurt them a lot.
Had you guys talked about that before? Did they indicate that they didn't want you looking, or that they would? No,
it was never like that. I mean, they were the kind of parents that, well, they just flat out said it. All we want is for you to be happy, you know. And so there were, you know, I just didn't feel right searching at that time. And I don't know, it's probably been 15, 16 years ago, I really started kind of looking just privately, silently, you know. There was a registry, Oklahoma Adoptees Registry, where you could go in there and you could put your name, your date of birth, and any information that you could provide, and it just became a spot where you could register. And if somebody was looking for you and maybe your information kind of matched what they were looking for, you know. But of course in Oklahoma, all adoption records are sealed. And
so that means you can't find your mom or dad even if you wanted to.
Exactly. And for years, it was pretty much the only way you could get those records opened was if both parties, meaning myself and my biological mother or my biological father, gave permission for those records to be opened. And, you know, that never happened. So I went for quite a few years looking, trying to figure out, searching. Of course, the internet came along, Googling, you know, but you didn't really know what you was looking for, you know.
Yeah.
All you knew was your date of birth. You know, I was 7 days old, so I didn't have a name, you know.
What hospital?
It was St. Francis.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, so it was, it went on for quite a few years. I even found this company that claimed they could, you know, find your family. And so I hired them. It was an online deal, and I think it paid them like $1,500 and got absolutely nothing from them. Absolutely nothing. And then I just kind of let it go for a while. And then back 6 years ago, April of 2015, it was my 50th birthday, and my wife, both of my parents, my mom and dad were both gone. And I had kind of resumed looking, but still was getting nowhere. And my wife decided to throw a 50th birthday party for me here at the restaurant and have family over. I was kind of like, no, I'm 50 years old. I don't need a birthday party. And well, she insisted. I'm glad she did. And anyway, before the party, I saw somebody post on Facebook a picture of themselves, and they had this poster board and had a little storyboard, you know, and it was like, I'm so-and-so, I was born here, you know, and I was adopted, and I'm searching for my biological family. And I saw that and I thought, well, since we're doing this birthday party, let's do that also. And so we did, and everybody that was there shared it on their Facebook page. And Bert Mumolo of Channel 8 News, local newsman here, he's been a friend of mine for a long time. And I sent it over to him and asked him to share it. Well, it went viral on his Facebook page overnight, like 7,000 shares.
Wow.
And, yeah. And that was my birthday is April 8th, but we had the party on April 11th, 2015.
So you made a poster board
with
all this stuff on it, and you took a picture of it, and you had everybody at the birthday party push it out through their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Okay, and Bert was one of them.
And Bert was one of them, you know. And that was on Saturday, April 11th. April 12th, the very next morning, Bert contacts me and says, hey, this lady says she might be able to help you. Here's her number. So I call her, and her name is Susan. And it was her birthday that day. And she asked me a few questions. She said, do you have your original birth certificate? And I said, I have my birth certificate with my adoptive parents' names on it. She said, no, that's not your original. She said, you need to get your original. I said, well, how do you do that? And she was like, well, you need to go to Oklahoma City. She said, there's 2 judges there that are very sympathetic to adoptees. And you go into their chamber, there's a piece of paper there that with some questions on it, you fill that out, they'll sign off on it, and you go over to Vital Records, and within 30 minutes, I had my birth certificate. And so that was on Sunday, she told me that. Thursday, it took me till Thursday to go to Oklahoma City. By that time, that was April the 16th. Got my birth certificate, didn't even look at it. Just walked out to my truck, got in the truck, because I knew I needed to be sitting down, because just didn't know what I was going to see. And I knew exactly where to look for my mother's name, and looked, and there was her name, Nancy Carol Barnes. And I was like, okay, got a name. And then I looked at where she lived. Total shocker. Can't write this stuff. She lived in Cleveland, Oklahoma, which is where I moved to when I was in 6th grade. And so I shared that information with my wife and my son and Susan, the lady that told me, you know, all this. And I started driving back home, and I get a phone call, and actually I get a text. So I pull over the side of the highway, and my son Googled and found my mother. Of course, it was her obituary. So I kind of had myself prepared for that it was too late. For some reason, I felt like it was too late.
Yeah.
And, but I sat there and started reading the obituary, and, you know, and just learning about my biological mother. And one of the things it said in there is she loved to cook, she loved to fish, and everybody loved her chili. And I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, wow, all right. And
so now you're looking for your dad.
Now I'm looking for my father.
Thank you for joining the Scott Townsend Show. We'll be back right after this.
Pop's Daylight Donuts, man, they've got the best tasting donuts, sausage wraps, pastries in Northeast Oklahoma. And also, if you'll tell the staff there, hey, Scott Townsend said to give me a large spicy pig, they'll give you a free large spicy sausage wrap. But you have to tell them Scott Townsend sent you. So tell them, hey, Scott Townsend told me to tell you to give me a large spicy pig. So there's the offer. There's the call to action. So go to Pop's Daylight Donuts. Say hi to Mark for me. And yeah, go to Pop's Daylight Donuts and get you some. The other sponsor is Castifly Outdoor Adventures.
Adventure. that's where it begins. We look to create and document our moments in time while embracing the majestic wonder and beauty of the great outdoors. Our quest is to explore the back roads of the Ozarks, camping, fishing, and just getting lost. Refresh your spirit and join us on our next adventure.
Paul and his crew invite you to subscribe to the Castafly Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel.
I get a phone call from Susan, and she says, "We think we may have found your father. We just don't know for sure. There's just a couple of things that, need to dot an I here, cross a T, and we're wondering how you want to go about doing this." And I was like, "Well, what do you know?" And she told me, and I said, "Just call him." And one of the facts she found out was he was on his second marriage. So, it's kind of like, it's not going to tear up a marriage because of me coming forth,
Right.
So, but she couldn't find a number. And anyway, I checked, did a search on my Verizon phone, and lo and behold, there his number was. And I was like, "Here's his number." She's like, "Okay, I'll call him." So she called him.
So she's about to rock his world.
She's about to open his eyes to a totally different world. Exactly. And she had some questions that she knew only he could answer. And so she introduced herself as a DNA family research specialist, and she's checking on some background information that he would be able to shed some light on. And so he was like, "Okay, first part is just keep somebody on the phone, in these days." And so she started asking him some questions that he knew the answers, And finally he said, "Well, where are you going with this anyway?" And she said, "Well, Stanley, you have a son. He's 51 years old, and he's been looking for you for a while." And he was like, "I've always wondered about that. I've always wondered about that."
So what was that like as you're walking up to your dad's house, and what's, how did that all shake out?
I was nervous, but it was like the end of a journey. But it was actually the beginning of another journey.
Mm-hmm.
It was the end of the journey of searching. But it was the beginning of a new journey of getting to know them, and we've gotten together several times since then. And, I told you about my mother and her obituary and the chili, right?
Right.
My father and I have the same birthday.
You had the same birthday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. When you met your dad for the first time, was it climactic, anticlimactic?
Oh, yeah, it was climatic. I mean, just big hug. Wow, it's nice meeting you, and we just, again, never an awkward moment. Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of pressure on adoptees to feel like they have to find all the answers when they find their parents. Did you go through any of that? Did you find all the answers, or did you find any answers? Did you find what you were looking for?
I found the answers. Like I said, there's some stuff that created a lot of tension on my mother's side of the family, that some unanswered questions. My mother has a younger brother, my uncle Lauren, and he was a holdout for quite a while. as far as he and I meeting, even talking on the phone. He had to really do some deep down digging inside and sort through some feelings and stuff that happened. And I got an email from him one night, and that kind of kicked it off. And so we started chatting back and forth. And then finally he sent me an email. Well, he sent an email to myself, both of my aunts, and my brother and sister. And basically he kind of spelled out the big mystery around things that happened within the household when my mother was pregnant with me that they wouldn't have known anything about. And that kind of settled things. And like I said, it brought the family together. There was a lot of misconceptions and stuff. And once that was out there, it was kind of like, okay, everything's good. And then he sent me an email, and we chatted back and forth a little bit. And about 3 emails later, he said, you could probably call me if you want to when you're ready. And so I thought, as soon as I got that, I was like, well, what's your number?
Well, if anybody listening or watching this is adopted, an adoptee, and they want to find their biological parent or parents, what's the best way to go about doing that? Is there a website, or where do you start? Is there a phone number you call? Is there a website you visit? Or?
Well, Susan is part of a group of volunteers all over the country. They call themselves Search Angels. And they've got a Facebook page. They've all got a Facebook page. Search Angels of Oklahoma, Search Angels of Michigan. And they try to help people find their family. They don't charge anything for it. And, she herself has family members that she has searched for. And it's a hobby. It's a hobby.
Well, good. Well, it's been good to catch up with you. It was good to see you again yesterday and catch up on what you're doing with Ike's Chili there on Route 66. I know you and I started telling old stories about working at Enterprise all those years ago,
Yeah.
all the crazy things we used to do. Okay, I guess I better roll here, but thanks for sharing your story, and I'll put the links to your story that Bert did in the show notes below. And if you want to get in touch with Len or get in touch with Search Angels, I'll have those in the show notes also below. Len, thanks for being here.
You bet. You're welcome. Thank you. Hope to see you again.
Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, well, definitely. That chili is, yeah.
All right, man.
I want to see you again, but I also want some of that chili. So,
hey, and I, when I leave here, I'm actually shipping some to Beaumont, Texas here in a little bit for one of my customers.
So you ship it as well as serve it.
Oh yeah. I've shipped it as far away as the Ukraine, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I've shipped it to the Ukraine. So
that's so cool. Well, that's that good. So yeah, if you want some chili shipped to you, I'll put that in the show notes down below too, how to get in touch with Len there at Ike's Chili. But thanks again, Len. Really appreciate it. For Len Wade, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for joining the Scott Townsend Show. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Scott.
The Scott Townsend Show is a Dietzo Man production. For more episodes, visit the Scott Townsend Show YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.